Is this a private party, or is there room for a friend?
Hi, Miss Steph. I'm afraid I'm not very good company.
Me either. Care to compare notes?
You first.
I'm a little discouraged, the way some people seem to be able to bend the rules, particularly if they're powerful and privileged.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 19 of the Cabot Cove Confab podcast. This is Sean.
And Steve.
You sure? You took a while to say that.
No, I'm not sure at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to think about it. Yeah.
And this episode, we're going to...
Thought I was Sean.
Oh, okay. All right. And this episode, we'll be talking about Moving Violation, the worst name of...
1985 came out, a comedy about driving students, right? Is that what we're reviewing?
Really? There's a movie called Moving Violation?
There's a couple of movies,
Really?
actually, called Moving Violation. Yes.
Well, I hate the title.
Horror and Shock, we're not talking about those. So.
I hate the title. I think it's a stupid title. I think it should be called, like, The Ambassador's Son or something like that. We'll get to that in a minute. But first... The ambassador. Yeah.
Turd?
Yeah.
Turd?
Bastard or turd, whatever.
Because he's a jerk.
Can't stand him. Before we get there, let's do pre-show banter.
Right.
You got your timer there going, Steve? All right.
Yes.
I hate the timer. So...
I'm setting it to 2 minutes shorter than usual. Go ahead.
So what did you do late into the evening last night, Mr. Steve?
I went to bed. What'd you do?
I was with you and we did a podcast called The Casual Elitists. That's the podcast name. And we were talking about Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
That's right. Yeah.
And the tentative plan is to go through each one of the Star Wars movies, the 9 Star Wars movies, the 9 core movies, one by one. And
no, that's not what we talked about.
Really?
That's okay. Well, they're gonna cover. I don't know if I'm gonna be on all of them, but they're gonna cover. The next one is the Clone Wars, which was the animated movie.
I did not know that.
Between Attack of the Clones and I know you're kind of toasted by that point, and Revenge of the Sith, and I think they're going to cover Solo and then Rogue One before they hit the original.
I did not
trilogy.
know that. Okay, I kind of figured that 9 movies itself would be enough, but okay. So if you want to listen to that by the time that this comes out, I think it may have drawn, or maybe after that. But the casual elitists. Or, I'm sorry, the novice elitists. Yeah. Very casual, too.
Yeah. And so we did that. Yeah, we did that with Isaac and Caleb. Great hosts, by the way. Great people. Enjoyed talking with them.
Yes.
And we had Eric, your other podcast wife, on there as well.
I like to call him.
And, of course, you were there.
Podcast boyfriend.
Yeah. Oh, boyfriend.
Yes.
Sorry. And you were on that.
I think you were on it, and you were there. And
I think I was
and
on
Lion
there.
was there, and Tin Man, Scarecrow.
What?
So yeah, check that out, folks. The Novice Elitists, and I saw a film today, Steve. I had
what'd you see?
Nothing to do today, except for maybe edit a couple podcasts for Monday morning, which I didn't do because I'm fucking lazy, and do some day drinking. Just a little bit. And I watched, I was on the old Amazon there, And I'm like, let's see what's on Amazon. I got to watch something that I haven't seen before. And I watched a movie called UHF. That's the Weird Al Yankovic movie.
He's doing a biopic coming up.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's making a pinball based off that biopic. Yeah.
Have you ever bought any of his record albums? I say record albums.
Not since the 80s, so yeah, it would have been record albums,
too.
but not anything recently, no.
I bought one, I don't remember, I think it was called Weird Al Yankovic in 3D or something like that. I think I still have it, but I don't have a record player.
When did that come out?
God, I don't know. It was in the 80s. I was a kid. I didn't even understand the songs. Like, I didn't know what songs they were based off of. He also has a documentary that's out there that's pretty old. But this movie, UHF, is not a great movie. In fact, if you were going, excuse me, phone, sorry, phone. If you were going to look at it like in terms of laughs, like an EKG, it would be a little bumpy, and then there would be huge peaks. And I'm specifically talking about a moment in the movie where I laughed so hard I cried, and that would be a scene with two men on a park bench or on a bench in the street, and it has to do with a Rubik's Cube. Is this right? No. Is this right?
You know, it's been so long since I've seen that film. I felt like it was a kind of a response to Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure, like that kind of comedy. Yeah,
it is. Wow. Huh. Yeah, and there's a few people in it. Fran Drescher is in it. Kevin McCarthy, who was the actor, not the politician, but he was in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He played, but I remember him as the uncle in that Twilight Zone movie part where he pulls the rabbit out of the hat. Fuck!
Oh, yeah.
And my parents showed that to me, and they said, oh, you like this? No! Did not like, parents. Did not like.
That's a great movie.
It is! It's, like, really good. And I remember thinking the Kick the Can episode wasn't that good, but then I watched it. We've talked about this before, and it was better than I remembered, I guess because I'm older. So, yeah. All right. That's all I got, really.
Well, I guess I could tell you what I did earlier today before I started watching today's episode. On Pluto TV, you know, they'll have channels dedicated to a certain show or something. But they did like an hour of Outer Limits. And so I watched Outer Limits. Yeah, really entertaining. I'm not as familiar with that show as I am with the Twilight Zone. So it was just neat to see see that. It was just new to me. And the one I was able to watch the full episode of, and remind me of the actor's name, was the guy who played, it was in Columbo, and he was the twin.
Martin Landau.
Martin Landau was the monster creature of the episode. It was really good. Yeah, it was like a time travel paradox kind of episode.
I like those kinds of stories, except for when they're in Doctor Who, because they tend to fuck them up really bad.
Right. Well, this one took a lot of liberties in story and structure because, well, it's 30 minutes. So, you know, like people, like when he was talking to certain characters, he was trying to explain a complex idea, and they're like, I understand. I'm like, I don't understand. What the fuck is going on? But they were just doing that so they could get the episode going, and, you know, but that's what you get with a 30-minute serial like that.
Yeah, I really miss the episodic horror, fantasy, sci-fi shows because we grew up with them. I remember on Sunday night, me and my parents would get together. We would watch Amazing Stories, Twilight Zone, and the Alfred Hitchcock Hour. And it wasn't the original Twilight Zone and Alfred Hitchcock, but the 80s quote-unquote reboot. And I now have them on DVD. But I don't have the original ones on DVD. I'm sorry, I don't have them. My partner has them. They're somewhere. And they've since rebooted it 2 other times without much success, especially the last one, which I didn't see a single episode I liked. But
the one with Jordan Peele?
Yeah.
I only saw the free episodes that were posted on YouTube. I didn't watch any others, and my understanding was that most people didn't like them. But I don't know because I have not watched them myself. But the episode I did see for free, I thought was
Really?
pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. All right. Speaking of episodes, are you ready to talk about Moving Violation?
Oh, my alarm didn't even go off. Wow, we did that in record time.
Yeah, take that, haters.
I think it's just hater, and I think it's me. Because no one complains, so obviously it's not a problem. I don't know how anybody listens to that. But,
No, they care.
hey,
they care.
Good on you if you like that. Good on you.
You don't like banter, Steve? You don't like talking about our lives? For the children. It's for the children.
No,
Steve.
if I'm listening to Jim Harold's paranormal podcast, I want to hear about paranormal stuff. I don't want to hear about Jim Harold and his wife and kids.
Sometimes he does mention Dar and the kids.
Dar?
That's his wife's name, Dar, like short for Darlene. And
okay.
she's cute.
I stopped listening to
I
it
know.
years and years ago. You still
every year on Halloween he has like a YouTube party, like he does it via Zoom, like a Zoom party, and then he puts it on YouTube. And he and his wife dress up for Halloween. And last year he was the Joker, the Heath Ledger Joker. He had to be specific when you say Joker. And his wife was so cute. It was Flo from Progressive Insurance. Is it Progressive? For Progressive Insurance.
Oh yeah. Not Flo from Alice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, kiss my grits.
Not that Flo.
So is Dar? She good looking?
She's a pretty lady, and he and Dar are going to have their own podcast now called "I Can't Believe It Happened to
what's
Me."
it going to be about?
Where people come on and they tell stories, amazing stories that aren't paranormal. His daughter has a. This isn't the Jim Harold cast. Although Jim Harold is in the episode we are going to watch for today, or we have watched for today. There is a guy that kind of looks like him.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
The guy that plays, let's see, what's his name? Lieutenant Powell in this episode looks like Jim Harold.
Oh, does he look like Lieutenant Powell?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what Jim Harold looks like. I always assumed he looked like a kind of a younger, uglier version of Art Bell.
Art Bell. I don't know who that is.
He's the one that had the radio show back in about 10 years
was he
ago?
the one? Yes. He's actually mentioned him. Yeah, he was the one. He was out in a trailer, and he would just have really late night broadcasts about UFOs and stuff.
Yeah, right. He would broadcast from 11 to 3 in the morning. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like a syndicate show that was broadcast all over the country, and I remember I used to listen to it on my way home from working at a restaurant. I was a waiter, and we'd get off at 12 or 1 in the morning, and I would just turn that on and listen to that on my way home. And he would talk about all sorts of weird shit, which may explain why I like that stuff. But.
Talking about weird shit. No, not really weird. Moving violation.
Yes.
So, Steve, how does this episode begin? Please tell.
Well, funny enough, we start off with one of my favorite characters to hate in Murder, She Wrote is Mayor Booth is making the rounds, kind of shaking babies, kissing hands, And you see him come up on this family. Lon, I think, is the father, and you see his wife and his daughter, and they're bitching about all the people coming in, vacationers that are coming in because of all the good weather.
So I have to interrupt because I have to put in fun facts. When I was watching this, I was making notes and I looked down, so I didn't see the daughter. She has one line in that scene. And then when she comes up later in the episode, I was like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
All of a sudden. But the dad, his name is Len Costner, and the actor...
Oh, Len. I thought it was Lon.
The actor's name is Philip Baker Hall. And he is still with us. He's in his 80s. He looks like he was in his 80s in 1990. And, I mean, he was in movies like Boogie Nights and Magnolia. He was a porn producer in Magnolia, Butter in My Ass, Lollipop in My Mouth. And he was in Magnolia, or I'm sorry, he was a porn producer in Boogie Nights. And he was the game show host in Magnolia. And for those of you who are 90s TV fans, he was in an episode of Seinfeld where he played the library detective. And he was the one that he had a great line, and he's played it straight-laced. He talks like he's like a 1940s detective type. He's like, "Oh, you think it's funny when people draw pictures and books, pictures of PPs and?" Do you remember that episode?
No, I don't. I don't remember that one at all. But that's funny.
He was pretty good, and he's still with us. I thought that he had died years ago, but he has been in a lot of stuff, most of which I have not seen. But yeah.
So we get our very first clue literally in the first 30 seconds of the episode. And I was very suspicious of Lynn at the very beginning because I didn't recognize the character. It seems like they were just kind of placed there. And he makes a very important statement. He says that, it's been getting worse with the tourists since they moved there 4 years ago. And that's a clue. It'll become a clue. Yeah, he said that they weren't happy ever since 4 years ago when they came to Cabot Cove to retire.
With their daughter, who is, how do you say this? She's disabled. She's disabled.
Oh.
Yeah, which is important. We find later on. Meanwhile, Sheriff Metzger, who is from New York, but the actual actor is from Chicago, FYI.
Chicago?
I was doing an imitation from the other day. He pulls over a guy in a convertible who is obviously drunk.
Oh, yeah. Matt Smith. Oh, yeah.
Yes, he does look like Matt Smith. Yes.
No, it's actually Trump Jr. I mean, I'm sorry. His name is Brad Hellman.
And he's from a rich family, and my only guess is maybe they're the mayonnaise people. Hellman's Mayonnaise. Do you think?
Okay.
No, they're not.
I don't know if it's had a family name. I don't think mayonnaise is a family.
No.
Now, if you said Hellman's Mayonnaise, never mind. Okay, gotcha. Sorry, went the wrong direction with that one.
Anyway, so he tries to bribe Sheriff Metzger, and by giving him a $100 bill, and he says, "There's my name on it, Ben Franklin. That's my ID." And I just want to say, in movies, this drives me crazy. You ever notice, for instance, things that people do in movies? For instance, ladies always, when they're naked in bed, they always have the sheets pulled up over their breasts. No ladies sit like that in bed.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and and also when people go to a bar, they'll be like, "I'll have a beer," and the bartender gives them a beer. There's 20 different beers at every bar. That drives and I know why they don't say the brand of the beer, but there's something in this scene where Sheriff Metzger says, "Give me your license and registration." Now, what the fuck is registration? What is that?
That's like your insurance, I would imagine.
Guess. Well, why don't they say your license and insurance? Right?
I don't know.
I have been pulled over maybe 5 times in my life. I've talked myself out of maybe 2 of them. And I've never had to show my registration. And I don't know what that is. Do you want to see my title to the car? Do you want to see...
Is that like, the sticker that's on your windshield? Maybe, because that's, I think, a relatively new thing, right? The sticker on your windshield?
It was around when this episode aired, because I remember
Well, it's state by state, too, right?
Yeah, that's true. Huh. Because it would make sense if they started out with cards instead of having the registration on the... Yeah, okay. All right. Because I was pulled over one time for not having a registration that was up to date.
So what was that?
Was a frog over there. That was
so the bribe really pisses off Metzger, and we do find out that, or at least eventually, that Brad is the son of Ambassador Chandler Mayonnaise. I mean Hellman's.
Chandler Mayonnaise. Wow.
Chandler Mayonnaise.
And he is a fucking dick. Yeah,
He is. What an absolute jerk.
Yeah, if you had to make a list of the biggest fucking dicks in episodes that we've seen so far, it's this guy. And also, by the way, the actor is really not that good at his job in this. He's
Really? No, I don't know about that. Huh. Didn't bother me.
But Jessica finds this all out because she knows this guy that we've never seen before, who looks not unlike Al Pacino. This guy, guy's name is Haskell, and he's a reporter in New York.
He's giving Jessica like information that I don't know.
It's for the audience mostly, just so we're caught up on all the events. It's a really kind of lazy way of storytelling, I think, is having this guy, explain it to us.
He's kind of like the sonic screwdriver of
exactly.
So he gives facts to Jessica. Jessica's like, "Well, who's this guy? Who's that?" And he says, "Oh, well, let me tell you what we figured out." And he gives her all the information she needs. So I think that's where we find out about the ambassador being the ambassador's son. But we also find out that Brad has killed before. Well, not killed before, but has had a drinking and driving incident before, which resulted in the death of a police officer and his family, like his kids, 2 kids and wife. And he got off relatively easy because of his father being as powerful as he was. So definitely a person who has gotten away with things because of privilege.
Definitely. And I think Jessica even uses that word, privilege, which is a word that I often hear in my household. White privilege. White
Currently?
privilege. Every time I want something, it's white privilege. It's white privilege.
Yeah, you do get white privilege.
It's mostly an inside joke, folks. And, so Brad's arrested, of course, and the attorney shows up. What's the attorney's name? It doesn't really matter.
Farrell? No. It was what's his
Jason
name?
Farrell.
Hold on, I got it. Is Farrell? Okay.
And he's just kind of a suspect that he was like my second. What do you call it?
Really?
He was my second runner-up, which means he was suspect number 3 for me because he just didn't seem to serve any purpose in the story. I thought, except for maybe being a murderer.
See, I off the bat thought Lynn was the killer, just from it was. I thought it was suspicious how he was suddenly a regular at Cabin Cove, which whatever. But the attorney applies a lot of pressure on Metzger, basically threatening him, saying, you need to let him off. Everything you have is hearsay. You were going to bribe him, or no? What was he? No, he said you were bribing him, or something to that effect. Like you were at fault. You didn't get rid of his rights, or what? Not his rights, but didn't allow him to decline a breathalyzer. Which
I don't know. I don't think that's hearsay. But people...
I mean, is that a thing? If a cop pulls me over for driving drunk and they don't offer me the breathalyzer, is that a valid thing I could use in court?
I don't know. That's not my ballywick, fortunately.
You're a lawyer.
No, you know what? You know what the closest I've ever been? Criminal law, first year of law school, so that would have been the year 2003. That's the last time I had anything to do with criminal law. But I have known people who have been pulled over for driving drunk, and one of them refused a breathalyzer, and he was arrested. But it varies from state to state, so who knows? Anyway, okay. So Brad's parents show up, the ambassador and his wife, Mrs. Hellman. And did she look familiar to you at all?
Oh, yeah. So she's... what's the actress's name? She is Ma'am from Webster. Susan
You are
Clark.
correct, sir. Did she look familiar to you from anything else?
Oh, no.
Oh, Steve,
no,
you
I don't recognize her from anything else.
disappoint.
What?
She was a murderer in an episode of Columbo. Yeah. She was in the very first season of Columbo. She was the second female killer ever. Lady in Waiting, where she played Beth Chadwick, who shoots her brother... making it look like, she thought he was a burglar and, that she shot him by mistake. It was that episode. The one with Leslie Nielsen as her boyfriend.
Yes. Okay, that's where they go to the drive-in, not the drive-in, the hamburger place.
Yes.
and they don't even finish their meal. I remember thinking, doesn't he order a milk? Doesn't Columbo order a milkshake, and he doesn't even drink it? I'm like, what?
That drives me absolutely crazy when people do that in the movies. In fact, Leslie Nielsen, when he was in the next episode of Columbo, and he orders a drink at the bar, and he doesn't finish his drink, and that's even mentioned later on. All right, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, this all takes place in Mayor Booth's office. So Mayor Booth, by the way, is getting a lot of pressure. And you can kind of tell he's kind of a weak individual. He bows easily to pressure. And he's going to in this one. People are calling him all over from the state, from the county. And he's getting pressure to let Brad go. And he's claiming innocence. I don't know what's going on, and I wish I could do his accent.
I don't know what's going on. I can't do it. Whenever I hear him talk, I think Mayor Quimby from The Simpsons, who really doesn't have a Maine accent. He has more of a Massachusetts accent, like the Kennedys.
Yes, that's true.
But
he said something like he said there's a quote. Oh, what? I'm sorry, I talked over you.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
Oh,
that's great. That's great. You know what? I'm going to leave that in so people can see or hear what a pig you are. I can't believe this.
I think you did that.
This is a professional podcast, sir.
So Mayor Booth says something. I feel like I've run over a hornet nest with my power mower. It's not bad. I think I got that
you
down.
Got that. Okay.
Yay! But I like that line. I feel like I've run over a hornet's nest
with a power mower.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
So he's getting a lot of pressure there, and the ambassador and Ma'am storm in, and they recognize Ma'am. I'm just going to refer to her as Ma'am from Webster because
why is that like, her name? Or
because that's in Webster called her Ma'am.
Really?
You ever watch an episode of Webster?
Yeah, when I was a kid. That sounds kind of racist.
Well, it's a topic for another day.
In Webster,
Meredith.
Okay, in Webster, the couple adopts Webster. He's a little kid, and that's basically what it's about, right? Just the three of them hanging out and having good times, whatever.
Well, there's George Papalopoulos. I can't remember his last name there in the show, but he was an NFL player, and his best friend maybe played for the Bears. I can't remember. But
the Bears.
The Bears. His best friend and his wife had Webster, but they died on a trip or an accident, so they willed Webster to George and I can't remember her name because Webster called him George and Ma'am.
Huh.
So, and there was a really touching scene where Susan Clark, as whatever that character's name is, she goes, "Well, Webster, why don't you call me by my name instead? You don't call me Ma'am." And he said, "But Ma'am sounds a lot like Mom."
Oh,
it was so sad. And he had accepted her as his mother. It was sad. We'll bring it up when we do the Webster podcast.
Yeah, we'll get to that after we do the Cosby Mysteries podcast.
Oh, really? Oh, I got a recording of you saying that. You're obligated now, sir. You're going to do it with me.
So I don't remember what, it was late at night, drunk, and I happened upon like a Miss Mojo. You've seen one of those videos, right? They have about 62,000 on every single fucking topic you can think of. Like, the top 10 hearts or whatever. They had one like the top 10 creepiest sitcoms from the 80s, the sitcom episodes from the 80s. And I don't remember most of them. One of them was Punky Brewster, where she gets lost in a cave. The other one was Different Strokes with the guy from the bicycle shop. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Everybody knows that. Surely everybody knows the pedophile episode.
Oh, God. I mean, I know why they made it, but it is kind of cringy now, because you don't see that in current, you don't see them doing that.
No.
You know what? I didn't have to see that. You know what I saw? You know what made me scared of pedophiles? I saw the made-for-TV movie Adam as a kid. Kid was the same age as me.
Okay, I've heard of it. I heard about that, but I'd never watched it.
Oh, fuck.
So that's...
It's like I didn't know that people would steal children from shopping malls. And that's literally what happened to him. He's with his mom, and they were like in Sears or something, and he wanted to stop and play, I think it was video games or something like that, and that was the last she saw of him, and he disappeared, and then his headless corpse turned up in a creek in Florida. Yes,
what?
This is a real...
Oh, is it based off... This must be based off a true story.
Yeah,
that has
Adam
that kind of
Walsh
ending.
was the kid's name, and his father, John...
Oh, from his father, yes.
John Walsh, became like a big proponent of, not a proponent of missing children, but, tracking down missing children. And they made a made-for-TV movie, and it was burned into my head as much as, no pun intended, The Burning Bed, which is about spousal abuse. Yeah.
Well, you're full of fun facts tonight.
Yeah. Don't tweet at me about this later on, people, because by the time that this is released, I'll long have forgotten that I talked about Adam Walsh. Anyway,
Meredith, the ambassador's wife, recognizes Jessica, which always helps that somebody's a fan of hers, and she begs and pleads for there be civility. Maybe her husband's being a little too aggressive, and everybody just be calm and listen to each other. She seems like the normal one in that relationship.
Yeah. What I find interesting, or not interesting, but just wrong about the scene when the ambassador and his wife show up, is that, like, oh, ambassador, you don't know what your son's going to say. You haven't talked to him yet. And they instantly cut to a scene where Brad and the ambassador are behind bars. And I instantly thought, wait a minute, why did they arrest him? And I had to rewind to see, wait a minute, did he do or say something? You know what he looks like, the ambassador? He looks like, and I'm sorry to keep bringing this up, people, but he looks like Dick Van Dyke in Columbo. Not the regular Dick Van Dyke, but Dick Van Dyke in Columbo.
I disagree. I know what you're talking about, a double exposure. No, I don't know about that.
I hate you, Steve. Anyway.
What did I say?
You just didn't agree with me, so I had to say I hate you.
Okay.
Yeah. Ma'am, Meredith, whatever, I don't even know her name. It's just Mrs. Hellman in my notes. She likes her coffee black, and I remember the mayor's like, can I get you some coffee? And she's like, yes, black, please. And all I could think of was black, like my men.
From Airplane, yeah.
Which is funny, because after I watched this, I watched part of Kentucky Fried Movie, one of my favorite comedies of all time, which is also made by the guys that made Airplane.
So another scene that was just as funny was when the ambassador goes and talks to Brad, and he comes out and he goes, I need an explanation. My son has been beaten by Metzger. I laughed and laughed. No, I'm kidding. But apparently his father had beaten the shit out of him. And when they asked Brad, who did this to you? And he pointed at Metzger.
Yeah.
So looking good for our sheriff.
These men, the father and son, they're actually vile human beings. One is a drunk. Ain't nothing wrong with being a drunk, but he's a drunk driver that is responsible for 4 deaths. His father likes to frame the police for beating up his son. It's just, these people are just... And you know what? If I had to predict who the victim was going to be... By the way, I did a lot of thinking about who the victim was going to be because it took forever for there to be a murder on Murder, She Wrote. Yeah. I kind of thought it was going to be him, but...
Wait, be who?
The ambassador? I thought he was going to be killed because he was such a dick.
Oh, okay.
And there's a scene with Jessica and the mayor, which is apparently filmed behind a glass...
it's on the other side of the door.
Yes,
yes, I noticed that. What was that about?
No, you couldn't even tell. It was, you just saw the reflection of a light in the upper right-hand corner. And, there's things about asthma that bug me in movies. And apparently the mayor has asthma because he's using his what we call the asthma pump. Okay?
Uh-huh.
It's not a real asthma pump. He's using what's called Primatene Mist, which I don't even know if they sell it anymore, but it's an over-the-counter.
Does it give you, minty breath?
No,
like Banaka?
No, I wish. It's horrible taste.
Whatever happened to Banaka?
I don't know. Whatever happened to Mentos? They both went the same place.
I hate those commercials so much.
Well, they're European, Steve. So they're, a little different.
Oh, okay.
Mentos freshens, full of life. Fresh.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
And they looked like they were made in 1975 because the film was kind of grainy.
And they give the thumbs up at the camera and smile.
Yeah, freeze frame. Like the end of a Murder, She Wrote episode. But yeah, he's using Primatene Mist, which I don't know if they still sell it, but it used to be an over-the-counter asthma inhaler. And it...
Oh, really? I didn't know it was over-the-counter.
Yeah, and it didn't fucking work. I know, because when I was a kid, they gave it to me, and it wasn't until my doctor prescribed me a real inhaler. And if you want to see a real inhaler, watch the movie It. Yeah. But even in that movie... Eddie Capsprack uses inhaler way too much. Like, dude, stop! You're going to get a heart attack. And so,
maybe it's like vodka mist or something like that.
That's a really good idea. Wow.
But we see Lynn again. This time he's bringing lunch to Brad's cell, and so he brought him. Which I found interesting because Metzger didn't quite trust him, and he had to show him what was in the plate.
Mm-hmm.
And but he brought Brad meatloaf, mashed potatoes, carrots, and some comic books.
And Metzger read the comic books.
Metzger's like, I'll take those.
Yeah, and Brad is really rude to Len. He's like, "You gonna watch me eat?" Now, my theory at the time was I didn't think Len was the murderer, but
that whole scene was so weird. I mean, this was furthering my suspicion that he was going to be the killer.
Yeah, I thought it was too obvious. I thought he was too obvious.
Like he was going to, somehow or another, he smuggled in something in through the plate. Like I was expecting.
Or maybe that Brad would then die of poison, and like the number one thing would, I like that.
Died of the meat sweats from the meatloaf or something. I don't know.
There's no such thing as meat sweats because I looked it up one time because I thought I had it.
Oh, really? I don't know, man. I think I've had the meat sweats before. Where have I heard that? That sounds like something from Seinfeld.
Actually, it was a Progressive commercial one time. Flo was doing her whole family, like it was the same actress, but like Hercules. What's that movie? Hercules. Fuck. Nutty Professor.
Oh, Nutty Professor.
And the grandma. I've got the meat sweats. That's where I first heard that, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I looked it up. It's a myth. You don't get sweaty from eating too much meat. You may just.
I think it's like when you overeat. And it's kind of like, Thanksgiving dinner, and you're just like sitting on the couch going, like, why did I eat thirds?
Like, oh, man.
I always, you know how you get hot, like all of a sudden your body's processing all those carbs, and you're like, that to me is the meat sweats, but I don't know.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's not from meat, it's just from eating a lot. Yeah. It could be meat, but actually, if you're eating a lot of meat, you're not eating carbs at all. So, I don't know.
Oh, well, excuse me, Mr. Dietitian. I'm so sorry.
Well,
when was the last time you had meatloaf?
Oh, man, I don't remember. I don't recall.
I think I was in high school. I don't know the last time I had a meatloaf.
It sounds kind of good. I remember when I was, my dad made it one time, and I'm like, ugh. But really, it's just like a hamburger in the form of a loaf, which...
And it's moist and delicious. I remember it being good. I don't know why I haven't made it. I'm sure there's a million recipes
Steve,
out there.
it's a moist loaf.
Of meat.
A moist loaf of meat. Does that make you want to...
It sounds so 70s. That's what it is. It probably died away with fondue and artichoke hearts. Stuffed artichoke hearts.
You know what aspic is?
Is that the Jell-O stuff? Okay. Oh, Jello with fruit in it. Oh my God.
No, I've seen horrible. I used to have this not me, but I used to belong to this Facebook page where it was called like Recipes of the Past, and they'd post these old recipes of like pieces of meat and hot dogs and shit in the
And what? It would be a piece of hot dog and
like
what?
Fish in
Jello?
the shape of a fish, and it would be like anchovy and aspic.
Barf!
Barf! Oh, like who in their right mind in 1966 said, the kids are coming. Marge and Bob are coming over for canasta. Let me make that aspic I saw in Good Housekeeping.
I know people eat Spam, especially, I guess, in the Asian Pacific area, kind of like Hawaii. I understand Spam's really popular, but God, I tried Spam once. Again, it was like in high school, out of curiosity. It was the worst thing I've ever had.
Really?
In my life. It's so
really
gross. Yeah, it's absolutely horrible.
When we went to Hawaii and we went to McDonald's in the morning, because every time I'm on vacation, that has to be my breakfast, McDonald's. They had Spam at McDonald's.
Yeah. Another thing that seems to have disappeared from the shelves of grocery stores is olive loaf.
Oh, God.
For some reason, about a year ago, I was on a quest to buy olive loaf. I haven't had that since I was a little boy. My parents used to enjoy it. And I remember thinking it was just the most disgusting looking thing on the planet. But I was like, it has to be something. I love olives. I love olives in my martinis. So I thought, well, maybe there's some kind of correlation there when that flavor. So I went looking, couldn't find it. I don't think they make that stuff anymore.
Well, they do. Wait, it's like bologna with pieces of olives and shit in it, right?
I don't know if it's bologna or like chopped ham.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. But it's usually round. It comes in round slices, yeah. And
green
my
olives,
mom used to eat it, and I have seen it at the deli at H-E-B.
Ah. What's head cheese? I've seen that at the deli.
Okay, head cheese is actually not cheese at all.
No, it doesn't look cheese. It looks
if
really
you
nasty.
remember from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, head cheese is just a bunch of different meats that are just sort of globbed into a single, almost like hot dogs, except grosser looking. Actually, that's not... No, it is kind of gross looking.
It's not related to brains in any way. It's head, cheese.
No.
No.
I don't think there are brains in it. I may be wrong, but I think it's just made out of whatever's left over of a dead animal.
Whatever leftovers lying on the ground in the butcher shop.
Oh, isn't that disgusting? And I still eat the dead.
And I think it's like it's surrounded by some kind of gelatin, clear gelatin.
Yes,
remember?
and it's
God,
but it's
horrible.
really thick. The other thing that I will never eat in my life. Just thinking of eating it makes me almost want to pass out.
Pig's feet.
Oh yeah, that's up there. Not as much. Well,
that wasn't it.
Tongue. Well, there's tongue, which I've seen in the grocery store.
Yeah,
and the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, I can't look at it. But we were in England. Blood pudding, which is exactly what you think it is. It's, or black pudding. I think they also call it black pudding, which is just basically fucking blood made into a pudding form. And they fucking eat it for breakfast.
Does Bill Cosby sell that stuff? Like, give me some Jello pudding pops. Oh, that was a horrible Bill Cosby.
That was bad. That even might be racist.
I don't know where that came
I don't
from.
know.
How is that? No.
Hold on. No, hold on. I'm pressing the cancel button.
All right.
Are you canceled yet? I'm joking.
Yeah,
I believe in cancel culture.
I'm gonna have to get off. I'm gonna have to get off social media.
So it's exactly the same. Yeah. Anyway,
where were we?
So Meatloaf. Rest in peace, by the way.
He died.
He
yes,
died. Yes,
a couple weeks
correct.
ago. And he was in not Little Shop of Horrors, Rocky Picture Show.
Rocky Horror Picture Show. And he
yeah.
was in a very bad episode of Masters of Horror a long time ago.
Never saw that. Oh, he was in
Yes.
Fight Club.
The guy with the tits.
Yeah,
man
boobs.
Yeah,
yeah.
I said tits. That's rude. It should be boobs.
It is. How wrong.
So there is a really cool scene between Jessica and Metzger on the dock.
Well, hold on. Whoa. You're jumping ahead again.
I'm not jumping ahead.
It.
I'm what?
Yes, you are. We're not there yet.
All right.
So
we sound like an old
wife,
couple
Meredith.
sometimes. Fine, if you want to go there, that's fine. I'm fine. You want to talk about it?
God, strike me down.
You want to eat there? That's fine by me. Don't blame me if you get food poisoning again, Ruth. Okay, sorry.
So Meredith visits Jessica. She makes a little house visit, and she's trying to get on her good side. She's trying to smooth over some things, but basically threatens Jessica when Jessica's not willing to play ball with her. And during that conversation, Jessica asks about, what about that family that Brad killed 4 years ago? And there's that clue 4 years ago, because I think she got that information from that New York paper reporter.
Haskell.
What was his name? Haskell, thank you. And she's like, "Well, no, that was taken care of. That was, it was nobody's fault." And I also find out that she is on her way to give Brad a fresh set of clothes, which is a clue.
Oh, yes,
ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
But she's not very happy that Jessica's not going to play ball with her, because she's wanting Jessica to talk to Metzger to drop the charges, and Jessica's like, "I'm not doing that." But yeah, then the next scene is on the pier, so I'll let you take it away.
It's a great scene, and acting chops to
it is.
Angela Lansbury and the gentleman who plays Metzger. She's dressed in I don't know why I meant, but she's dressed in like a Columbo type jacket, and it's nicely tied up, and they're on the dock and they're talking about the case, and Metzger's like, I took this job. He's from New York. He's like, I took this job because I wanted to be away from the hustle and bustle and all the corruption, and he tells her that he's going to resign, basically, and she's a little bit upset by that.
Yeah.
And it's a good scene.
Yeah. So he knew the cop that died 4 years ago, Frank Casey. So like they were bowling partners and stuff like that. So he knew the guy, and we also find out during that conversation that Brad's made bail. So he's been released.
Surprise, surprise.
And he's already saying, like, he's getting away again like he did 4 years ago, and they're going to use me as an example. And so he's going to retire before they walk all over him. He's not going to let that happen. And so Jessica basically says, "No, don't give up. You're better than this, Mort." Which, did you know that that was Metzger's first name?
I had it somewhere in a drawer in the back of my mind, but yeah, okay. Mort Metzger.
Mort Metzger. Good Lord, I think I just stick.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
name.
Just call me Metzger. It's fine. Don't call me Mort.
But Jessica, she supports him. Says, "We're behind you. Cabot Cove is behind you, except for Mayor Booth, of course. We're all behind you."
Yeah.
Mayor Booth is such an asshole.
Yeah, you know what? I want to see Mayor Booth be framed for murder in some episode, but I don't think it's going to happen. You know who's missing from this episode? Seth, Dr. Seth Haslett. Yeah,
he
is not in this.
Yeah.
Maybe William Wyndham. Was it William? Yeah, William Wyndham. Maybe he. I don't know. He had the flu or something. And also missing from this episode, it is set in Cabot Cove. But no, maybe not. I was going to say we never see the inside of Jessica's kitchen or anything. But no, we were just talking about.
Yeah, we do.
Because what's her name comes in.
I tell you another person that is a regular in Cabot Cove that I can't stand is Arnold, the desk manager.
Oh, Steve.
At that hotel. He is such a slimy little.
Well, we'll get to him in a moment.
Yes, we will.
So there's a murder. Finally.
Yeah. So finally, yes, we see a young Will Wheaton and Jerry O'Connell They're trekking through the rural area of Cabot Cove, and they discover a dead man's body.
And it's hilarious.
Isn't that what that's from?
It's hilarious. They do this thing where they show the two of them walking, and you're like, who's this? Oh, this is the part where they find the body. I knew that, right? You know, you see it in enough TV shows, you're like, oh, the reason that they could just cut to these two kids. And when they find the body, it's like, so like, they're like, oh, they have these reaction shots of the two kids, and it's so hilarious.
Do you suppose that the very next scene, if they would have shown it on camera, would have been them getting a stick and like poking him in the face? Poking him in the eye socket. Hey, you alive?
There was this old, and when I say old, I mean from the 90s, movie called Citizen X about a serial killer in Russia. And the way they find one of the bodies is there's a kid peeing in the woods. And
okay.
The pee eventually like gives away it makes the dirt go off, and all of a sudden there's a skull there, and the kid's like, "Oh my god!"
What kind of stream power does this kid have? Holy cow!
Well,
his urethra is like really narrow.
Speak for yourself, there, Steve.
Pressure.
Speak for yourself.
Oh.
I myself have uncovered quite a lot of things. You ever pee in the snow? You ever do that?
No. It doesn't even snow in Austin. What are you talking about?
Yes, it does once in a while. It did last year. Remember
once
that?
every 20 years. Oh, okay. No, I don't live in Austin, but
in Chicago, where I grew up, I peed in the snow.
Chicago.
You could always tell when you're walking around in the snow, walking to and from school or church or wherever you went when you were a kid.
Okay. You were walking to church. And you peed in the front lawn of the chapel, and what'd you pee, 666 or something?
Oh, by the way, I will have you know, sir, that I am now, as of today, an ordained minister. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I have
wow,
some...
okay. Go on. Why didn't you bring this up in the pre-banter? Because that would I would have wanted to listen to.
This
but...
is the thing. I know these people that are friends of mine.
You know people.
I know people. This couple.
I know people too.
They're getting married next month, and they wanted to have a murder mystery party for their rehearsal dinner, and they also asked me to officiate their wedding. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that. Wow. I'm not really sure. And so,
don't you have to be like a shipboat captain?
No, you don't have to be shit.
Know.
It turns out, you just have to be able to use a mouse and a computer, because that's literally all I did to get ordained as a minister. Like, you don't have to take a test online. All you need to do is go on. Some places charge you like $30, $35, but the groom or the groom-to-be, he sent me a link to this United Church, and literally all you have to do is a couple clicks, and then they email you your
I am sure?
Positive.
Sounds really suspicious.
Sir. I am positive.
So are you offering this as a service for your murder mysteries now?
No.
You should. You should put that in there. Like, hey, I'm also an ordained minister, and I can perform your marriage at any of my murder mystery parties.
After I saw how easy it was to become an ordained... Okay, maybe I'm not an ordained minister, but I am ordained now. You're not a minister. You didn't have to put in your driver's license, your social security. I mean, I could be like Charlie Manson or something, and just anybody can do it.
That's a weird.
I could put him. I don't know. I'm just thinking of a crazy person. I could put my cat's name in there. My cat's an ordained minister. Congratulations, Moira. Where is she? Oh, she's outside. She's outside on the other side of the door.
Mrs. Meow Meow?
Mrs. Meow Meow. Oh, that's clever. I should have thought of that name for the cat. No, her name is Moira. Her name is Moira. Like Moira Rose. That's what she's named after.
Yes, I know.
The other cat, his name is Cabby because he likes to go in cabinets, but I like to call him 12.
You should call him Puss in Boots. Yeah.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
That's the stupidest thing you've ever heard.
That's just stupid. Oh, who calls their cat Puss in Boots? That's like having a dog and calling it Fido. Anyway, I like to call him 12 because Tom said, "Oh, he's 12 years a slave," because he was feral at first.
What?
And then we brought him in into the comforts of a home, and he's liking it, so we call him 12 years a slave, even though in that movie it's kind of the opposite. So I just like to call him 12. Isn't that a good name for a cat? 12? Like 11.
No.
11 from what's it called? Stranger... I almost said from Dead by Daylight. From Stranger Things. I'm sorry, was that racist? Have you ever seen 12 Years a Slave? Okay.
No. But if you say it's racist, I believe you.
Well, the movie isn't racist. Well, it's about...
So, Metzger is called into Mayor Booth's office, and he's introduced to a Lieutenant Powell, who's there to investigate Metzger, not the murder or anything like that. He's basically going to see there's been complaints against Metzger, but for bribery, murder, possible murder of Brad, physically abusing him. So obviously the ambassador's pulling in all the stops to have Metzger kind of nailed down for the being the killer.
Now,
so
I just wanted to point out, number one, Lieutenant Powell is played by Jim Harold. He's the one that looks like Jim Harold. And number two, Lieutenant Powell was actually my suspect number 2 in this story. Yeah.
Really?
At first, I didn't have any suspects until I texted you. And I swear to God, when I text you, I'm not cheating. I'm actually guessing who the murderer is. But I thought maybe there was a connection between him and the dead cop and the drunk driving accident, and that it would turn out to be him. Yeah,
maybe.
But I was wrong. Wrong. And Augusta, he's from Augusta, which is the capital of Maine. And then I made the sudden conclusion, which I haven't looked up, but I'm pretty sure I'm right, that Augusta is directly in front of state capitals before Austin, which is where I live. So that felt like I had a connection, personal connection into the story there.
Got it. Okay. So Metzger. Oh, by the way, Mayor Booth is kind of, he's wishy-washy, and it pisses Metzger off. And he's
I
like,
don't blame him.
This is, I would too. But so Jessica, she calls Haskell, her independent guy in New York City, and learns that there was a female passenger in that accident 4 years ago that went missing. And what else did she find out? But Jessica tells Lieutenant Powell about that as well. Like there's more people involved in this that could be suspects.
Right. And that person, that female, who called the accident in, and Jessica makes this conclusion very quickly. Oh wait, she does something which I don't understand quite why she did it, but she left a note for the lawyer.
You're jumping ahead again. Stop it. We're not there yet.
All right. Go ahead and tell the whole story, Steve.
So,
Go ahead and tell.
while
Mrs. Hellman's the murderer.
Jessica's Jessica's talking to Lieutenant Powell. She sees the autopsy report and sees that there was a weapon. Or no, it's not the autopsy. I'm sorry, that's later. But she sees the weapon. Oh, Lieutenant Powell shows her the murder weapon, and there's 3 spent shells. So Jessica ends up going to the hotel to talk to the Hellman Mayonnaise family, and she is introduced to Brad's fiancée, Morgan.
Oh, and by the way, the car that Brad was driving when he was pulled over is registered to Morgan. And the gun that was used to shoot him was registered to Morgan, but I don't recall where they find the gun.
Yeah, I think it was near the body. I think. But I thought it was interesting. The hotel looked very familiar, the lobby and restaurant. It didn't look like it was the same one from, what was the episode we watched?
Snow White, Blood Red.
Yeah, it looks like the same hotel from Snow White, Blood Red, but the last time we saw it was the episode where it was the news reporter.
Obituary for a Dead Acre.
That's it, yeah. The hotel looks different. Maybe they remodeled to look more like the one in Colorado. I don't know. Maybe it's a chain.
Yeah, so there's 4 people having dinner. There's Mrs. Hellman, Mrs. Mayonnaise, Brad's fiance, and 2 other people that I don't remember. Oh, I guess her husband, the ambassador, and anyway.
Well, Jessica talks to Arnold, the manager of the hotel.
Wait, no,
she's able.
Steve, you're jumping ahead.
No, this is literally the next.
I'm talking about the conversation with the family, where she goes up to them and she's like, "Oh, my condolences," and fucking, I knew it. Mrs. Hellman says, "Oh yes, they shot my son not once but 3 times," and I'm like, "Okay, that's a clue. She's the murderer. I've seen it before." In different shows,
how they
where
know
the murderer says something that they wouldn't normally know unless they were the murderer. So I'm like, that's it. And that's when I texted you. It's her. It's her. It's the stepmom. And spoiler! I was right.
Thanks for the spoiler warning.
I'm not saying that I'm Sherlock Holmes or anything, but yeah. So she goes, go ahead, Arnold, go ahead.
Yeah, she does some kind of weird conversation with Arnold, because apparently Arnold's been paid or tipped heavily by the ambassador to keep his mouth shut. But he does kind of hint to Jessica that the fiance Morgan has been there, this whole time. She just now arrived, like they were saying she had. She had been there for a while. Yeah.
Sorry, I had wine in my mouth. One of the best things to have in your mouth.
So with that information, Jessica and Lieutenant Powell bring in Morgan to interrogate her, and we find out that through that conversation they put a lot of pressure on her, and she admits that Brad was being blackmailed by somebody, and it had to do with that initial accident 4 years ago, and it was some girl he was going to take out. He had brought the gun with him. Morgan didn't know he brought the gun, but he was drunk and he wanted to just end the blackmail. He wanted to kill the person.
All right, I have to interrupt.
But she didn't know
I
anymore.
I have to interrupt because it's fun facts time. So Morgan is played by an actress named Suzanne Snyder, and she looked familiar to me, so I had to look her up. And one of the first things that it says about her on IMDb in her little bio there is that she is from Park Ridge, Illinois, which is the same place where Hillary Clinton is from. And that is actually right down the street, down Old Northwest Highway from Norwood Park, which is where I'm from, and where John Wayne Gacy is from. And these are the first 3 movies she's credited with, I should say, on IMDb. You know, when you call up a person and then they've got the movies, the little movie posters there. Check out this. Weird Science. Now, I have never seen Weird Science, but
Really?
she might be the girl. And I remember they create a girl.
No, she wasn't. Not Kelly LeBrock.
Okay, then never mind. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, a movie I have never seen, probably never will see, but I don't know. There's lots of booze in the world, so. And my favorite, Remo Williams. You remember that one?
No.
I swear to God, Steve. Sometimes I think that we grew up in different eras. I think it's Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. And don't ask me how, I haven't seen it since it was in the theaters in the 80s, but I just remember there was this old Asian man, and he taught Remo Williams all his, fancy tricks and all that. And I remember this old Asian guy, like, if you shot at him, he would just move, and the bullets would go past him. And at the time, it was, I don't know, as a kid, I thought it was kind of cool. But anyway, not amused by that. I'm here to amuse you, Steve. And I'm sad you're not amused.
Well, I'm not amused. So now we can get to where you were wanting to jump ahead, where Jessica sets up a trap for the lawyer and puts a note in his box about, payment or demanding payment or payments due, whatever, for the
you're behind in your last payment. Do it as soon as possible or so. Why did she do that to the lawyer? I don't understand.
Why the lawyer? Yeah, I don't know. But Jessica and Metzger follow the lawyer in his nice Mercedes.
Oh, no, it's a Cadillac. He drives a Cadillac.
No, Metzger drives a Cadillac.
Oh, the lawyer drives a
But the
Mercedes.
lawyer drives a...
So my parents used...
Oh, yeah, I love Metzger's. It's a red, huge boat of a vehicle. But it's it's a convertible
My
Cadillac.
parents owned a car that looked just like that. It was a classic car. It was a 78 or 79 Cadillac, I think. And I don't know how much they spent for it, but of course, we rode in it. I rode in it like maybe 3 times. My parents loved Jeeps and Cadillacs and anything where, for me, I hated it because it would mess up my hair and the wind would blow in my eyes and my contact lenses would get messed up. But seriously, am I not the only person? Oh, I got to tell you something. I had a dream the other day. Now, people are going to love to hear this. Listen to me, people. I had a dream that I was a butler because John Gielgud was, I don't know whatever happened to him, but I dreamt that I was Arthur Bach's butler. You don't know who that is, do you?
Not a clue.
Okay, you ever see the movie Arthur with Dudley Moore?
Yes.
That's Arthur Bach. And I dreamt I was his butler. Anyway,
That's weird.
I want to be Arthur Bach. I know that that's not really, a high standard, but I want to be rich like that. And I
want to be Liza Minnelli.
Well, we can arrange that, Steve. I know some people if you want to do that.
Oh, okay.
What? They did that on RuPaul's Drag Race just recently. And that reminds me when Ellen DeGeneres hosted the Oscars, Liza Minnelli was there, and she went to Liza Minnelli. She goes,
"She's still alive?"
Yes. She went to Liza Minnelli. You are the best.
How many livers has she gone through?
Liza Minnelli impersonator I've ever seen. Did you ever see Kristen Wiig do Liza Minnelli? Liza Minnelli turns on a lamp.
No, I haven't seen that. I'll have to
go into
YouTube
SNL. Go type in Liza Minnelli turns on a lamp, and Jonah Hill is the guest, and he's sitting there with a cigar. Come on, Liza, hurry up! We're going to be late for the show. I just need to turn on this lamp. She's like, anyway, I'm sorry, everybody.
But Liza Minnelli's still alive? Are you sure?
Yes, she is. I'm positive.
Okay, she's on my death list.
No, she is.
I'm adding her.
She is not. She's going to live for many more years. I don't think she's that old. Like, she was kind of sick for a while. I think she was in and out of rehab, and I know that she was on steroids and she got really swollen, and then she lost the weight, and now she's fine. But she's not on death's door at all, as opposed to, say, Tom Baker, Dick Van Dyke, dare I say, Angela Lansbury. Well, we don't know what their health is like, so. By the way, do you remember when we were recording? Yeah. Oh, whatever. Do you remember when we were recording this, and then my phone dinged and it said that Bob Saget was dead? Do you remember? No, you don't remember recording. Okay. Well, anyway.
Sure, that was with me.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, you're a podcast whore, so.
Steve. I'm not a whore. Anyway, excuse me. So it turned out that Bob Saget died from a blow to the head, and we're not talking about somebody bludgeoned him. It's like he bumped his head and then he died. Like, ow! And then
Well, no, that's the confusing part, because I've heard the blow to his head is so severe. Like, there was some head trauma doctor who said you wouldn't see that kind of trauma unless someone fell from a 2-story building onto the concrete.
I did not see that.
That's a pretty heavy blow. That's not a. They said he slipped and hit his head on the marble floor in the bathroom. God. If you were to fall head first 2 stories to the concrete, that would be significantly more worse than falling in the bathroom. and hitting a hard
I
floor.
guess. I don't know. I'm just saying it's just another fucking thing for me to be afraid of.
It's a mystery.
Yeah. It's like, do you remember that guy? I don't remember I don't remember his last name. It was Billy something. Not Billy Eichner, but he was the infomercial
Cyrus.
guy. Beard. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Oh, Billy Mays.
Billy Mays,
Billy Hayes.
yes.
Billy Hayes.
No,
Hayes.
Yeah,
Was it
he
Hayes?
died. Yeah, Billy Mays. Mays with an M. And he died because he was taking luggage out of his overhead compartment, and the suitcase hit him in the head. And he didn't die then. No, there was some kind of bleeding or something, or the brain. I don't know. I can't say it because I get a panic attacky. But yeah, and then like later, he collapsed dead, because he hit him. Do you know how many times I've hit my head on something and I'm like, ow? No, if I do that ever again, I'm going to be like, ow, okay, I'm going to die any minute now. I hate life. Seriously, could I just be like, a tortoise? They live like 1,000 years.
Would you want to live 1,000
years?
years?
I'm not going to live 1,000. Well, not now. I mean, maybe like 1,000 years ago I wouldn't mind living 1,000 years, but now I'm terrified.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, God, yes. Yes.
I wouldn't want to live 1,000 years ago when there's no hospitals, there are hospitals, but I mean, things are so much dirtier and.
But if I knew I was going to live 1,000 years,
you got a hangnail. They had to cut off your foot. I mean, it was just horrible.
But if I know I'm going to live 1,000 years, why not just grin and bear it like a time traveler? Maybe I'll get typhoid. That's a good way of I don't know, losing weight. No, I would never want typhoid.
Good
That's
Lord.
terrible. That's
okay. That's so wrong. Okay, so Jessica. This is when Jessica visits the daughter Janet, and somehow or another she's able to piece together that Janet was the passenger in that automobile accident 4 years ago.
She pieces it together because she sees the lawyer and Len meeting at Len's house. Therefore, Len's daughter is the girl from the crash. I don't know where Jessica added 2 and 2 and got whatever out of that. I don't get it. Mm-hmm. I will tell you, though, that the girl, Janet, I did not look up the actress, but she looks suspiciously like the lady from Sex and the Married Detective, the Columbo episode, when the lady dresses up as a hooker. I'm sorry, as a sex worker. Yeah.
I don't know about that. I thought she looked like a kind of the actress who played who's the little girl from Poltergeist.
Yeah.
What's her name? Mary Beth, Mary Ann.
No, the character's name was Carol Ann, but the actress was actually. It was actually George Skeffington. No, it was. Hold on. There's Heather O'Rourke.
Yeah. I think that's right. But it looked like an older version of her. I would imagine if she had grown up, that she would have like that blonde hair, very small face. I don't know. I that's who it reminded me of.
I guess. I thought she was wearing a wig, though. Not Heather O'Rourke, but the lady in this that played Janet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
But Jessica tries to convince Lieutenant whatever his nuts is, Powell, that that Metzger is innocent, and he's like, she's trying to say, well, I can prove who the killer is, and he's like, I'm not interested in that shit. I'm investigating Metzger. I'm not investigating the murder. But she ends up convincing him what she's trying to convince him of the killer.
Yeah,
who the
killer is.
He keeps telling her over and over, I'm not investigating the murder. I'm investigating Metzger.
Yeah, and she's going to convince him to help her catch the murderer. And they set a quote-unquote trap where Agatha. I can't fucking believe I almost said Agatha. That's bizarre. Where Jessica is talking to Mrs. Mayonnaise and tells her, Meredith, sorry, ma'am. says that, oh yeah, they found the gloves because there's going to be nitrate or powder marks on the gloves, which is a trap, just like at the end of the film Death on the Nile, which you have seen the new one. I've seen the old one. I've never seen the new one. The old one has Angela Lansbury in it, by the way. Oh, I should order it. I meant to.
She is in it
on Blu-ray. Academy Award winning.
That's on Blu-ray?
I don't know if it's on Blu-ray, but
really,
it's Academy Award winning, Steve. Academy Award winning for best costumes, which was a huge deal because Death on the Nile, Canon Film Studios, they would make a lot of bad movies, straight-to-video movies, and they also acquired the rights to a handful of Agatha Christie movies. And so they made Death on the Nile. And Death on the Nile had everybody who's anybody in it. It had Angela Lansbury, Bette Davis, Maggie Smith, Olivia Hussey, Mia Farrow. Oh, fuck. The Holly Goodhead from Moonraker. I can't remember the actress's name. Great movie. One of the best murder mysteries of all time. Much better than Murder on the Orient Express, in my opinion. And Canon itself was shocked that one of its movies actually won an Academy Award. Won an Academy Award for Best Costume. Lois Chiles is the actress's name. Actually, she played the dead lady, the lady that was killed in the beginning. And anyway, sorry, children. Sorry, children. That's my Uncle Roger impersonation. Sorry, children.
But yeah, so yeah,
people,
Jessica plants this little seed in her head. No, so Jessica plants a little seed in Meredith's head about nitrate being on the gloves. Whoever fired the gun, there would be nitrate traces. So Meredith excuses herself, runs up to her room. She gets her gloves out of her suitcase and she throws them into the fireplace. And that's when Lieutenant Powell pops out and says, no, I've got your gloves here, and the ones you threw out were a decoy, and you just incriminated yourself.
I feel like we've seen that on Columbo.
The burning of the
just when they tell the murderer, like, okay, well, there will be evidence in this place, and then the murderer goes to that place, like Robert Culp with the contact lens in the trunk of the car, and then lo and behold, there he is. They catch him looking for the contact lens in the trunk of the car. But it's what I love is when they go to arrest Mrs. Mayonnaise. I'm sorry, Meredith. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry, Mrs. Hellman. I really don't know what her first name is in this. She has a drink, and she's like, do you guys want a drink? After she confesses the murder. Like, what a sociopath. And I'm going to be honest.
Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, when she admits to the murder, and we get to see the flashback where... Oh, well, so one of the clues is that the autopsy report, there was only 2 bullets in the body. And so when Meredith said... Well, didn't the autopsy say 3 shots? That's how she knew. But in effect, only the killer would know it was 3 shots because one of the bullets missed, and only 2 shots were in the body of Brad. So that was also one of the clues that kind of incriminated her. But she says after she killed Brad, she drew up a hot bath and drank a double martini.
Wouldn't you?
I don't need to kill somebody to have a double martini, but that sounds like a fun time.
You ever try to...
The hot bath.
Do you like martinis?
Martini.
Okay.
Yes,
do you ever make them at home?
I used to, but I'm not that... I mean, I know it's not that hard, but it's just as easy to pour a drink of vodka and ice. So. And drink out of a A&M tumbler.
It doesn't taste as good when you make them at home as it does when you order at a bar. No. And I like the blue cheese filled olives, and I've actually tried to make. I just can't do it. Like, there's something about it that I'm, Anyway,
do you have a shaker?
I do. Somebody gave one to me for Christmas or birthday or something years ago, and I just couldn't put my finger. It's simple. It's vermouth and vodka or gin, depends on what you like, and then you shake it or stir it.
Right.
And I could never do it.
Well, I think you put a little ice in there too, right? So it mixes. But I understand, like, if you do it too hard, it bruises the vodka or bruises. And I never understood that.
I don't either.
Like,
it's not because vodka doesn't have blood vessels. It's because what the fuck does that mean?
It's just a term.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But I don't. When I would make it. I drink most of the drink, and there'd be that vermouth left at the bottom. So the last drink you have, it would be the vermouth, and it would be gross. Vermouth by itself is absolutely vile. Like, you don't want to...
Oh, yeah.
And
right.
I don't know how to get it so you can just mix the vermouth in with the other alcohol and make it perfect. Anyway, if somebody knows a recipe for the perfect martini, feel free to email us at cabotcoveconfab@gmail.com. And maybe we'll make it and drink it.
Or maybe you come and visit us and show us your prowess in making martinis.
Or maybe when they visit, we could have a Murder, She Wrote convention at the Red Roof Inn in Richardson, Texas.
You've got the board game. We'll sit around drinking double martinis and playing Murder, She Wrote board game.
Richardson, Texas. Don't scoff, people. Richardson, Texas is the ventriloquist capital of the country. And I'm not kidding. All the famous ventriloquists, all 2 of them, are from Richardson. All right.
So I want to ask you a question. This is a question I used to ask you on the Columbo podcast, the Columbo Confab. And it really doesn't come up very often in this one. But I wanted to ask you this. Do you think Meredith... Now they've got evidence against her, but she's got a powerful husband, right? He's an ambassador. Do you think Meredith got away with it?
I mean, yes.
Did she go to court, and did she get off?
Well, first of all, she's stupid because she basically confessed as soon as they confronted her. But let's assume that she didn't say that, okay? And people could say, oh, that's hearsay, blah, blah, blah. But that's what they always say in movies. It's not hearsay. That's not... But a confession is admissible in court in most cases. Okay, let's pretend she didn't say that. I don't think so. I think that... All right, let me give you a really good example. This is true life. So when I was in law school in Chicago, we had an evidence professor who had a client that was up for murder, for arson. He allegedly burned down a building using some sort of alcohol, and then somebody died as a result. Well, they made tests of his hands. I don't know when they arrested him, but I'm assuming it was the night of the death. And they found what seemed like gasoline or some sort of alcohol, not alcohol that you would drink, but alcohol that would be used to detonate. Yeah,
accelerant.
There you go, accelerant. And on his hands, or traces of it anyway. And his lawyer, this is basically what they find in this. It's not her hands, it's her gloves. And his lawyer got him off because, I hate that term, got him off, because it sounds like something else, but his lawyer got him off because it turns out that on the night of the death and the arson, he was using poppers. Do you know what poppers are?
Like the drug?
Yeah, it's in a little bottle, and it's a video head cleaner from the 80s, basically, and it was mostly the gays.
Oh.
And I'm raising my head as a proud gay. You would use that, and you would use it either on the dance floor or during sex, and it would expand your blood vessels, relax you, and it was maybe like a 30-second high. I haven't done it in so long. It gave me an asthma attack one time in New Orleans. That's a true fucking story. But it turned out that he was using poppers on the night of the death. So therefore, that's how this accelerant got on his hand. Like, he spilled some on his hand. And I think that her lawyer, and she ain't using no public defender. She's using,
high-powered.
Yeah, she's
lawyer.
using Lee Grant from Ransom for a Dead Man from Columbo. Could I have more Columbo references in this? No, she's not Lee Grant. She was a personal injury lawyer. She's going to use Oscar Finch from Agenda for Murder, Patrick McGowan. And anyway, yeah, I think that she could use some other, excuse for that. Like maybe she either she touched something that had nitrates on it, similar to gunpowder, or B, somebody used her gloves other than her. However, there was the fact that she got Brad's clothes from the suitcase that supposedly had the gun in it. that confused me. Can you explain that? Did you get that?
Well, yeah, so the fiancé, when she found out what Brad was up to, why they were in Cabot Cove, she saw that Brad had brought her gun, and she was concerned, so she took the gun from him when he was drunk and hid it. It was in her suitcase, but hid it in his suitcase, which, that's weird. So it was with his clothes, but he couldn't find the gun. He didn't know where it was. So when Meredith, the ambassador's wife, was getting him clean clothes, she stumbled upon the gun, and then she even says it was like the good luck had dropped in her lap. She was given an easy way out. So when she saw the gun, she's like, I can kill Brad and take care of this.
So what if she got the clothes and she touched the gun, or the gun... She touched things that touched the gun, and that's how the nitrate got in her hands. I don't know. If I was a lawyer, that would be my argument. I don't know if that can actually happen, but you never know with fucking lawyers and juries and courts and all that. You know.
Well, they were gonna nail Metzger on this. I would have said something like the fact that Metzger planted, because he was respected law. He was the law enforcement. He was the sheriff. Could get in and out of any room in the hotel if he wanted. He could have easily planned it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that would have been easy.
Yeah.
But whatever. I was just curious what your thoughts were if she... I mean, knowing her high-powered husband and lots of money...
that in itself,
I figured she would have gotten off.
By the way, I think the vast majority of Murder, She Wrote murderers would be able to get off. Because the evidence that Jessica brings is not really... it's just like... Agatha Christie evidence. It's not like CSI evidence. You know what I mean? It's just like, I happen to know. I overheard you say... But the statement about, I heard he was shot 3 times, that maybe could be... That could be evidence.
Right.
So... All right. We are going to rate this.
So,
go ahead.
And happy ending. So... Mayor Booth offers Metzger back his job, so gives him back his gun and his badge.
This is a really good Metzger episode. We haven't had that yet, so.
No. Okay. Ready to give its final score?
Kind of what I'm going to give it.
Okay. So I pulled tonight's number off of Metzger's Cadillac convertible. So the license plate number was 420744.
Jesus Christ, Steve. Okay, 4.
So no, I'm gonna truncate that. So just the last 3 digits, 744.
Oh,
what
I
would
was
you rate
hoping you'd say
out of
420.
744. Well, we could do 420. Yeah, we could, but no, let's do 744.
744.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right.
You've been going first every episode. Why do you ask me that?
I don't know. I'm just being polite.
Do you want me to go first? I'll go first. Do you want me to go first? I'll go first.
No. 744. Okay. I'm going to give this a 446. This was not an outstanding episode by all means. It was just sort of there. I mean, I wasn't really impressed by this. I don't like it when I can predict who the murderer is, but that's like whatever, not there. There is something in this that I didn't like, and that was... Oh? Well, no, that's not fair. As soon as she said that they made a point of mentioning that she was Brad's stepmom, I'm like, oh, that's suspicious. Because they're not going to have a mother kill her son. But it turns out it was a terrible motive. Like, I had to kill him because he was going to ruin my husband's career. Her husband is like more than middle-aged. He already has a career. And I'm pretty sure that, her stepson could have they'd find a dead hooker in the trunk of his car and somehow her husband would get him off. But there's something about this story that is just very bland to me, and it just seems like come next week, I'm going to forget about it, like some of the other stories that we've watched. And I'm coming, as we watch more of these, I'm beginning to see a little bit more of them. And another issue was that I think that, I don't like it when the murder takes too long to be committed. And sometimes it's founded, sometimes it's not. I don't want every episode to be like Snow White Blood Red, where somebody's killed every 10 minutes, But really, just, I found it unremarkable, which is why I basically gave it 4.46, which is higher than average, 5 out of 10 or whatever, but not excellent. And I'll just mark this up, and we can move on to the next one. That's how I feel. It was just
okay.
It was just there. I was whatever. Okay.
Well, I disagree with you.
Oh, really?
I enjoyed this one. The story, the late murder didn't bother me. I thought the villains, like Brad and the father and the mother, I can't remember her name now, but
Mrs. Mayonnaise.
They were all, Mrs. Mayonnaise. They were all wonderfully, deliciously evil, and I liked it. I liked that Mayor Booth was a coward. I love that we get to see a little bit more about Metzger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really enjoyed learning more about him, and he was kind of the center point of the story.
I agree with that.
I really like that.
I like, yes. Because we haven't really seen much of him.
No, yeah. I didn't know much about him, but I really got to relate to him. And, I mean, they're like the scene on the pier where they're skipping rocks together. That was very enjoyable. Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. So I'm going to give it out of, what did I say, 7.44? I'm going to give it a 6.40.
Oh, wow. You really like this.
Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
By the way, the ambassador, I'm going to withdraw my Dick Van Dyke comment, and I'm going to replace it with, he looks like Dennis Hopper. That's who he looks like. You're going to tell me you don't know who Dennis Hopper is.
I know who Dennis Hopper is, but I don't think that's... No, I don't see the correlation in looks.
Fine,
there.
Steve, you hate me. I get it. No matter... Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. All right, I'm ready to hear what next week's episode's going to be.
All right, the cats have the wheel, and they're wheeling it in right now. The wheel is on wheels. Yeah,
really?
Steve, spin the wheel.
Okay.
All right, we are going to watch from season 8. We're going to watch episode 8, which is A Killing in Vegas. And it is obviously, I hope, in Las Vegas. But it is about Jessica reluctantly attends a book fair in Sin City, but the stakes get really high when she finds herself involved in a murder investigation. Really?
Again?
Yeah! It's another murder, Steve.
She's literally the worst. She has the worst luck ever.
Do you remember Jay Leno when he used to have, like... I'm not a big fan of Jay Leno, but there's nothing wrong with him. I just never liked him. Like, I didn't think he was that funny, but he used to have on his show, like, misprints and stuff, funny stuff in the papers. Do you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. And one time he had a snippet from the TV guide for Murder, She Wrote, and the description of the show, because they'd always give short descriptions, and it was, Jessica solves a murder. And he's like, ooh, I haven't seen that one. Which makes me think there should be other shows that aren't murder mystery shows where somebody solves a murder. Like, for instance, What's Happening? DJ solves a murder. See, I'd watch that. I'd be like, do you ever watch
What's Happening? Are you talking about the show with Raj and Rerun? And
did I?
Okay.
I loved that show growing up as a kid. I'd love to see that again. I don't know what happened. I know that DJ... Is it DJ? No, Rerun.
That was his sister, right?
DJ was the sister.
Rerun. Rerun. I think he's dead.
He died years ago. DJ was the sister.
He was
D.
I thought D. Yeah.
Give me a quarter.
That's right.
If you don't, I'm going to tell Mama. Give me a quarter.
I don't remember that episode, but there were a lot of raw moments in that show. Yeah. I mean, it was really good. It was a good show. All right, so let's. I don't know what we're talking about. That
I don't want this episode to end, Steve. I just don't know what else I'm going to do with my Sunday night.
You can have dinner and you can pet your cats.
I do that. I do
clean the kitty litter box.
I do that all the time, Steve. Okay. All right, I'll let you go. Say
you could watch next week's episode. Get prepared.
No, I don't do that. No, it's too early.
You know. Oh, okay. You could take a bath.
No, I'm not.
Draw yourself a nice hot bath.
It's probably going to be more.
Make a double martini.
It's probably going to be more along the lines of watching porn and then some YouTube movies and then passing out, sleeping until 9. All right, well, say goodnight, Steve.
All right, everybody, have a good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Cabot Cove Confab. If you've enjoyed it, please leave us a favorable review on Apple Podcasts. Also, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter at Cabot Cove Confab or email us at cabotcoveconfab@gmail.com.